welcome back everyone to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners work session on Tuesday, October 21st. We are going to talk with staff about our land use projects and priorities that are coming up in 2026. So I'll turn this over to Deputy County Manager Kara Silbernagel and Community Development Director Suzanne Wolf. Hi Suzanne, sorry you're not feeling well. Thanks for joining us anyway. Are you okay to join us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll kick us off, and I can pull up the memo too. So thank you all. Today, the goal of our conversation is, as we were looking ahead to Q1 and various priorities that were coming through with community development and different projects that were coming through, Suzanne had flagged that there's a lot that are being planned for Q1 in 2026, as a lot of projects, a lot within the county, but also elsewhere, are trying to, in short, move dirt in 2026, and it is requiring community development staff time, P&Z time, and likely some will require BoCC time as well. And so we wanted to have, really the purpose of today's discussion is just so you all are aware of what those implications would be, and we have pulled together what we think is the timeline that may be manageable, but this also does put pressure on, again, staff capacity and community development, as well as capacity for Planning and Zoning Commission, because many of these decisions or even processes require going through the Planning and Zoning Commission. So what we prepared for all of you was an overview of the public projects. These are only the public projects that need to move through, either based on priorities from the county that we've been making, and or from federal timelines or state timelines that are putting pressures in the permitting process. It does not include also the caseload pieces. So I wanted to have Suzanne here to talk a little bit about what she's seeing and the capacity that is going to be required for all of this and the timing elements of it, as well as then just do a quick overview of locations and extent for the board and also for the public, and how that starts to play into these projects as they move forward. So Suzanne, do you want to give a quick overview from your team's perspective?
Yeah, I can jump in, and sorry, I sound a little yucky. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of projects coming together all at once, and I think you're all aware that Leslie Lamont is retiring at the end of the year, so we will not have her starting in Q1 of next year. And Tammy Cochin will be on maternity leave for the first couple of months of 2026. So we're sort of having like the perfect storm of things happening all at once, with all of these projects that are more, for the most part, more complex, and need staff planners who have some more experience. We have some amazing new planners on our staff, but we have to be careful about pushing them into things too soon, in terms of the types of applications that they're reviewing. So we definitely have a little bit of capacity crunch on our end in terms of staff, what staff is available to even review some of these applications, which means it's going to include me doing reviews, have Nicole doing reviews, in addition to other staff. And beyond just those public projects, we obviously have a really big project going on, which is the comp plan, which is coming together to go through the P&Z adoption hearings in Q1 of next year as well. And clearly that's going to take multiple meetings for that public process to go forward. So again, those are kind of all of the things that are coming together all at once. Again, I think if we put up the, if we're able to put up the list, as you can see, some of these are pretty substantial. And again, I think what Kara asked was also to speak a little bit to that location and extent review process for those public projects. And that review does have to happen before any building permits come in or even earth moving permits come in. So say for something like the airport, obviously there's a lot of work that they want to be doing at the end later in this year to prepare for the closure next year. So we're trying to get out in front of all of those projects. And so, same for all of these. Everything has a timeline associated with it and deadlines that they're working on to try and start work. And on our end, our process is, it has to go through this land use review process first before it can then, they can then submit for permits on any of those projects contained within those applications. Anything else, Carrie, you wanted me to hit on?
I have a question. Okay. What the heck is the the City of Aspen Rudeye Dam project?
Yeah. I think we can have Suzanne talk. Suzanne, do you want to, we can have Suzanne walk through the projects. Maybe, let me
We'll
just.
do that later. That wouldn't totally,
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
I think the only other thing maybe to close out the location and extents process that I believe you all are aware of, but the other element is what we've also flagged is a lot of these we are anticipating will also then not only go to P&Z, but then will also require probably BoCC review before any other pieces can move forward on some of these projects. And so that is adding to additional timelines that we just wanted to flag as then, again, the load goes to staff and then P&Z, and there's probably going to be some heavy loads on BoCC meetings in the future. So just wanted to call that out. Suzanne, do you want to do a high-level overview of these projects?
Sure. I mean, the two City of Aspen ones, they've been going through federal processes for their licensing for both of those. Excuse me. Sorry, my brain is not going to spit out the right words. Where they use the dams for power generation. And so what they're doing in both of those is doing some improvements to the Rudeye Dam as well as to the Maroon Creek Dam by T. Lacey 7 to basically be able to operate at their approved capacity. So, again, they have projects, they need to go through this process. They have to have their projects completed, like completed by the end of 2027 to obtain the federal funding that they're looking for those projects. So it's hydroelectric, sorry, that's the word I'm trying to spit out that my brain won't get. So that's the two City of Aspen projects that we've been talking to them about for probably the last year or so, and of course they're just coming together now. I think obviously the county project, Solid Waste Center, Airport, and Phillips, you all are familiar with.
I think Patty has a question about
Yeah, I had
the
a
dam.
question about the especially, the City of Aspen projects. I know they're on a time frame. I can understand that, appreciate that. But the sooner they get them to us, then the more time we have, rather than coming to us at the last minute saying, you got to do this because we're going to lose funding. I know they've been talking about it for a while, and so maybe if they get on a better time frame, it's not going to put the crunch on us to get them approved in.
I mean, they're not, they're not putting the crunch on. I mean, they've been going through the process. They've been going through to get all of their documents lined up so they can submit for this review process. It just so happens it's all coming together now. And like the county projects, when they lay out their timelines to get this approval, so then they can go in for permits, so then they can, be ready to construct. It's, their timeline, they were, hoping to be in front of the P&Z in April of this year.
I'm just, I understand all of that. I'm just saying it would be nice if the city could say, let's turn this around quickly, because we know we're on a time frame, the city's on a time frame crunch, so's the county. Rather than them coming to us and saying, oh, we're not going to be ready in April, but we need to have it by July, so we're going to have to cram it into June. I think we need to ask them nicely if they can look at what we have on our plate, and it would be beneficial to all parties if they could get their stuff to us much sooner than later, so we can keep them on their time frame.
Yeah, and I think we were having those conversations, and they know, kind of what we're managing here in terms of the other projects. So, definitely anticipating those to be submitted, I think, next month, or December, November, December. So, I mean, they're moving things forward, and know that we're juggling things to get everything on agendas. So county projects, I said you're familiar with the comprehensive plan. We're guessing at least 3 meetings, public hearings with the P&Z for the adoption. And I think on the timeline, we were looking at that, sort of, let's see.
I think we said February.
February, March, April. And again, we're trying to balance, something like what we usually do is caseload once a month, long range once a month. Is that going to be enough to keep the momentum going on the comp plan? That's we're looking at that. But in terms of turning it around by staff to then have that ready for those public hearings, we're thinking that would be February, realistically at this point. The Wildfire Resiliency Code has been mandated by the state to be adopted by the 1st of April. So that requires amendments to the land use code as well as the building code. Nicole and Jeff are working on that now and working with all the other jurisdictions in the valley. But really we're, tagging that to go to the P&Z in January and BoCC for public hearings for those code adoptions in February and March. And that's to meet that state mandated deadline of April 1st to be adopted. And then it would go into effect, I think, 60 days after that or something.
I've heard that there's been inquiries from around the state to extend that deadline. I'm looking at Jeffrey. I know there's been some counties that have come forward saying, we don't have enough time to turn it around, so maybe that will work in our favor a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I know that there's considerations of it, but I think it would require a legislative change
That's
during
what
the
they're
session.
looking at.
So we're continuing on that April 15th. If we got a little bit, great, but I think we're continuing on
Right,
that.
I'm just saying we should keep heads up on that if we choose to support that legislation.
And then the employee housing impact fee, looking to bring some code amendments forward on that. I think as of yesterday, I think we've realized we'd probably be pushing that back, a little bit to be at the P&Z maybe more like March or February, and then the BoCC March, April. But that, again, has been a priority that we've been working on to try and bring forward, and has to go through that full code amendment process. Did I miss any? And then of course there's all the other applications that show up along the way that aren't these, kind of priority public projects.
The only other one I would touch on is Phillips. Suzanne, I think as we looked at timing and priorities, we would be looking at Phillips LNE in that May, June time frame right now. And I know that we're pulling together some of the information for pre-app and for Phillips, but based on kind of all the competing interests, that we'd be looking at that moving forward in that Q2, Q3 time period.
I have a question. I have a couple questions. Does this rely on the current P&Z schedule as planned, or is there any expansion of their meetings and over time?
We have not had any conversations with them at this point about either adding additional meetings or, timing for their meetings.
Do you think this is a feasible schedule, or are you asking for our input on any prioritization of it?
I think it's the prioritization, and I think in particular, sort of, that Phillips being the one that I think is pushing a little later than, they might have been anticipating, in order to do it. It's aggressive, and I would say I definitely have not wrapped my head around, my head or my staff's heads around at this point, like what it would take for us all to jump in and make this happen.
Are these the sort of things, I know sometimes for certain code adoptions, they've come via private planner, or we have sourced out. Are any of these the type of project that might be a good fit for that?
Not really. We don't really have anyone we're currently using, to do caseload, sort of side work on any caseload. So again, we were using some people for a bit, and just felt that it was better to try and keep it in-house. Have not considered if that is a possibility, and if there's anyone who would be the right person to take any of that on.
I'll let Jeffrey go, and then I'll come.
Jeffrey?
Echoing the chair's comments, Kelly's comments, that, is it right to put P&Z on notice that they should be expecting, 3 Tuesdays a month in Q1, given that they'll have slack, for example, later in the year. So stack up the meetings in Q1 commensurate with the workload. It's sort of, again, an observation, sort of reiterating what Kelly's saying. I guess the Gantt chart already reflects that employee housing impact fee is probably a higher priority than the the comp plan adoption. To me, the comp plan adoption could slide, but again, I'd look to the rest of the board to see if they feel the same way. Anything we could pull into Q4, potentially, would be another observation further into Q4. Like, so for example, could we move faster on the employee housing impact fee and actually, we're ratifying early in Q1. And then finally, there's what's not on this chart. I thought there were 2 ski rec master plans coming forward, and I don't see either on this chart.
There are, I touched base with them at one point. One was coming sooner, Highlands earlier in 2026, Buttermilk later in 2026.
Okay. So it's there, just not on the radar scope
Mm-hmm.
yet. Okay.
And there are probably plenty that I've missed as well in terms of other, big caseload items.
Understood.
I think to respond to some of your questions, Jeffrey, and on the P&Z piece, I think we can put it out to the P&Z from the staff perspective. There's a couple of elements. Is to turn around packets every week is not necessarily balancing, right? So trying to balance that capacity. Also, there's at least one P&Z commissioner that's on maternity leave through January, I believe, and so we're already, trying to get the correct amount for quorum. It's already somewhat of a struggle. So that's where there's concerns of, is it more P&Z meetings? Is it longer, or what focuses on long range or caseload, I think, are some of the conversations that we've been having. And so I think that's where we've been evaluating on the P&Z what is possible there. To the question of what can happen in Q4, I have spoken with Brian, and they're coming forward with some of their pre-app stuff for the Solid Waste Center. I think that's, a top priority. This list is not necessarily prioritized. Suzanne alluded to this just yesterday. We met with the consultant team on the employee housing impact fee. I think that's more likely to slip for a couple more additional research that we're working on before it comes back to you. So it's not something that would be accelerated. And so as we start to look ahead, I think it's just the natural timing of the way everything's coming together is maybe Solid Waste Center in Q4, but a lot of other stuff is really that Q1 by the time everything is being put together. Go ahead.
Are there any of these that can skip a step? Like, can the wildfire code come straight to the BoCC?
That
You're on
means,
mute.
So
that
it
means we'll
requires
have
a
to come in
P&Z
for extra
recommendation.
meetings, but nobody else will come in for extra meetings.
Okay.
So any code amendment requires, land use code amendment requires a P&Z recommendation.
Okay.
If it was just building code, it would not, but because the wildfire code, it will change in our land use code as well, it does have to go through the P&Z.
Okay, thanks. Patty?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm hearing a lot of what we can't do rather than what are our opportunities to do. I think we need to start now looking at help for community development, seeing if we can bring Ezra's back or, see who might be out there and whose caseload is getting a little lighter and we can recruit them to help us out. I think we also need to talk with P&Z, see if they are willing to throw in a couple extra meetings here and there. I know it's going to come back on us for special meetings. We're going to be meeting more. And we have to remember that we have a lot going on outside of community development with our other county-wide issues. We can only stretch certain things, certain people so far. But I would rather look on a positive side as what can we do to help rather than what can't we do. So if we need to allocate more funds for community development to help staff during the Leslie retirement and Tammy's maternity leave, then I think that should be a discussion sooner than later to get that money freed up and to get those, because we need to start now to plan. And I think it's going to need more bodies and more time and more money. And I think those are the things I think we can do.
And I think money's a piece of it, Patty, but it's also finding a person who can commit the time and on these timeframes to do that work. Because it also requires oversight from my staff as well,
Right, but
staff
I'm
as
not
well.
seeing
So,
any, I'm not,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not seeing anything, I'm not hearing anything. I'm trying to come up with something that'll help with this problem. What I'm hearing right now is we have a problem and there's no way to fix it. I'm trying to find a way we can help, lessen the impact of the problem, rather than just, I know it takes time, I know you have to find people, but the sooner we get started on looking for people and reaching out, I think the more opportunities we might have. Because right now I'm saying, okay, there's nothing we can do, so we're just going to have to suck it up, which I don't want to do. I want to find a way to lighten the load, literally and figuratively.
And Patty, what I would say is, I think that we're trying to wrap our heads around what's presented now is a way to address what looked worse a couple of weeks ago. So we wanted to, this is staff's recommendation of how we would be looking at it, and we can look at seeing if there are extra resources and P&Z timing, and really mostly for you all to understand that the things that we see being able to slip and then calling out that those are board priorities is likely the housing impact fee, the comp plan adoption, and the Phillips LNE. That would maybe slip into those Q2, Q3 timing because those are less on really tight timeframes, as we understand.
Well, City of Aspen, L&E, if they don't give it to us in a timely manner, and then it's going to put the crunch harder on us, that's difficult for me to say, hey, we're telling you now, we're in a time crunch. We need your stuff sooner than later, and hold them to it. Because if we have to delay them because we have Phillips that we've delayed on and on and on, that's probably a bigger discussion for the board to prioritize this list when we have a full board to do so.
Is there any opportunity to move anything up? You may have asked this, but let me hear it again.
No, it's fine.
So maybe it'll stick.
Same page.
Yes.
Third time.
I think Solid Waste Center is planned to move, Brian's moving that up a bit. So that is moving up. I think everything else is really in those right? They're all in process. I think that's
Sure.
right. We've been working through this for several years on many of these projects, and they're all coming at. We've made traction on all of them, which is great, and they're all coming to kind of this pinch point right now.
Jeffrey?
I mean, just following on Kelly's comment, if we could move employee housing impact fee up.
We can't, we have research. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's the one that's actually revenue generating at the end of the day and deconflicting from a legal standpoint. So that one's actually in our favor to move up. I don't know if we could push back on that one from a board perspective and say, look, again, personally, employee housing impact fee is more important than 2050 adoption than any potential changes to land use code. So that's a longer process. So.
Well, it's my understanding that the reason the housing impact fee may be delayed a little longer is because we, the board, asked for more information and staff needs time to research that. So we can say, okay, we don't need that information, let's move it forward. But I think because of the legal complexities, we need to have the time to make sure we get it right, which, if anything, is why we can move it further down the line rather than move it further up. But I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what I understand.
That's correct, and I think if employee housing impact fee is pushed back a little bit, what I'm hearing and probably the discussion for the board is the prioritization of if we've got a line, do you want that to skip the line over the comprehensive plan pieces? And so I think maybe back to the question is what can't move forward. There's not much that can move forward right now, but when we get all the information, we see how it's stacking up, we can come back to you and say, what are here's what we're seeing based on past board priority is able to slip a little bit, and we'll know what that time frame of slippage would be.
Is anybody going to bring us any good news?
The good news is look at all these projects that the county has been working on for years and years
now
that
we
are
can't do
coming
it
to
because we don't have enough staff and we don't have enough time and we don't have enough, we've got.
Are we on fixed timelines for location and extent? It's like when you submit, you've got 60 days to reply.
Yeah, either that or you
Or it's approved automatically.
Yeah.
There is a timeline.
I believe so.
I need to check of what it is because I think it's different for counties and municipalities. So let me check and get back to
I
you.
guess I would just,
That's a good point.
I would just say that maybe, like, we should just keep revisiting this chart and, like, when we're getting, check it, there should be a check-in with us sort of maybe before they submit.
Okay.
Or before their submittals, just to sort of reassess, like, is this the right time, or not, particularly because these are all mostly of our own submission. We should make sure that we're continuing to manage that. And I know you guys are thinking of all this more in depth than we are and more regularly than we are. I think what I'm hearing is some encouragement from the board that if you do find folks who are able to help you out, to enter into those relationships, and we're willing to support you. Jeffrey, oh, you're nodding. Okay.
Same. Thank you.
Is there other? And we're gonna schedule the Phillips ribbon cutting for January 2027 for Patty's.
Yeah, forget it. We just keep bumping it down the line. I'm gonna have to wait 4 years and run again, which I'm not gonna do. So Phillips will never get done.
Well, thank you all. We just wanted to bring this up to the whole board for awareness and, as prioritization might come to more push points, to be able to have a follow-up with all of you, and we can look and see what additional staffing may be available and what P&Z scheduling can be as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you starting
Thank you.
the rest of this evening? Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Suzanne. Feel better.
Yeah, I feel better, Suzanne. So we don't have Amy.
You want to bounce ahead to future agendas?
Sure, 'cause we have Kara, right?
Yeah. I know. Moving way faster than I can move today.
Oh, there's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
And I believe this is Amy's first agenda
You're
item
stealing
summary.
my thunder. I
and-
was going to have to introduce first.
Is
Please introduce yourself to all the public who will love to know you.
Hi, I'm Amy Pendarvis, Executive Assistant to the Manager's Office. Coming forward today just to go over the draft for next year's BoCC meeting calendar and go over some individual points, make sure we're good to go on those, and see if we have any date selections on a couple of other items. Next year's calendar is pretty straightforward, I think. You'll notice that I did make note of the Jewish holidays at the bottom of the calendar. They do not conflict with regular meetings in 2026. So the calendar for September is the sort of standard schedule. We also, in November, we make the adjustment like we did this year around elections on Tuesday. So we have the regular meeting on Wednesday and we move our work session to that Thursday on the 5th. And then the following week, it works out because Veterans Day falls on the Wednesday, so it does not conflict with a regular meeting in 2026. And then I have noted the CCI conferences both for summer and winter at the bottom of the calendar, like we traditionally do. Those do overlap with meetings, so if that needs to be a point of discussion, we can talk about that today. And then the other thing that we may want to look at possible dates for is the winter, the winter BoCC retreat that we typically try to schedule sometime around February, as I understand it. If we want to do potential dates for those. Sam is working on the groups that we do joint meetings with, as far as OST and others that we have our sort of regular joint meetings throughout the year, and I am getting in contact with my counterpart at the City of Aspen to start working on those quarterly meetings. So I don't have those dates yet today, but we are working on making sure that we have all of those dates pulled together for you as well. The various departments are already asking me for the draft. I told them to wait till we had a chance to chat today before I handed it out. But I don't know if we have any thoughts on the winter retreat.
Okay, let's check in with the board. Patty?
You mean the winter retreat in January or February?
Yes.
You're talking about our retreat. I have no idea what I'm doing then.
Do you have a sense of when NACO is to at least
It's
block
the end,
that
we
out?
already checked that as the end of, when I get my NACO dates, I have a draft Northwest COG calendar, which I'll give to you.
Okay, great.
And when I get the ACRA one, I'll give it to you and to Sam.
Okay.
And we can put those dates, and they don't have to be posted anywhere, we can just note them, so we don't.
Internally, so we don't try not to overlap.
And I don't know when we'll have an EOTC draft meeting
Yeah,
scheduled.
that would be another one I'd add on your list
Okay.
to check in
Yeah.
with Linda DePriest about the EOTC.
Gotcha.
We meet 3 times a year.
Okay.
And then I know Mayor Richards wants to have a housing retreat and an EOTC retreat sometime after the first of the year, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if any of those dates have been discussed at all. That I know.
Any
To-
concerns?
2 things. So the NACO dates are actually on the CCI calendar already, so they were on there on the
Okay.
2027 if we have that in front of us.
Do not, but I will
Okay.
have to get that for us.
So
Okay.
those were published, and then with regards to the February board retreat, we should also add the 2 travel dates if we know them certain for Bozeman and Jackson Hole, which are January.
We
February.
haven't come up with those yet.
Kara has those under future
Advisement.
meeting agenda
Cool.
on the list to
Thank
go
you.
over with you. Yes.
Cool. And thanks for pulling this together.
I would just note that for all that Jenga, I think we've generally tried to do a Wednesday and Thursday for our board retreat.
Okay.
So just,
Or a Monday or Tuesday, or.
if it jumps out that those are empty, then that's great.
Okay. So generally, what I'm hearing, though, is that we should try to gather some more of these other dates before we try to lock in our winter retreat. And so perhaps when I bring the calendar back for final approval, we'll try to add those dates in.
Yeah, we can reach out to all the commissioners too. I think in general we've tried around the first or second week of February, but I know we'll need to look with airport and stuff as well.
Okay.
Patty, do you need an asterisk indicating there's an ACRA date? So we
I
don't
said
know?
once I get the ACRA calendar, I'll give it to her, because they kind of, right now, there's a lot of them that'll conflict, but ACRA shifts things around, like one of them's a holiday in March, then you've got winter school in January, I don't know, so, and then around Thanksgiving, November, December, ACRA shifts their dates, so when I get that final one, I'll give it to you with the NACO dates, which you already have.
Yes, I have your travel dates. Yes.
And those are the NACO conferences.
Okay. Yes.
The first two, not the one in May, but the other two.
Okay.
And May, I guess, because I'm planning to go to that one too.
Right.
New Orleans.
New Orleans is in July.
Other discussion about the
Good.
calendar?
All right.
Thanks, Amy. This is
Thanks.
a tougher task than it ever seems like it should be.
It's a
but-
good start for what we're going to be doing.
Months ahead than usual.
Okay, why don't we go to future agendas? Kara, any future agenda notes?
I've got some lists. So first of all, we've been looking at a meeting with Lake County. The only date that is still available before the pass closes would be Thursday, October 30th. Not sure, they're looking at 9 to 11 or 9:30 to 11. I'm not sure how
Well, but there's no place to meet there because the restaurant in Twin Lakes is closed.
is already closed then.
We had to special open it before, but you could still check with them. Generally, they're closed.
We can
by-
check. I think first let's see
Yeah.
if that date is even possible.
And yeah, I don't know. That's like next week.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we might have to skip it for this year because of timing. But
Yeah, I mean.
I have
don't know if it's
something next
possible for me
week.
to like get from Basalt over to Lake by 9.
No,
Might be a little later. Yeah, I don't know. That's
take
gonna
that
be tough for me.
helicopter.
I have conflicting meetings that I would need to miss, unfortunately.
And if Greg was here, he would say he's in Breckenridge that day at QQ.
Okay.
Possibly.
So we could, apologies that we couldn't pull it together before the pass closes, but we can look and try and get something early in the year, next year when the pass
We'll
opens
just
back
meet
up.
in Minturn.
So just to confirm, we'll postpone a meeting this year.
I don't think there's anything pressing. It's
Okay.
nice
No, it
to
was
do,
more
but
just kind of a meet and greet.
Okay. So we'll follow up and plan some time when
Yeah.
the pass is open next year. Okay, I believe Amy sent out an email, so we've been looking at a mini retreat with COSN to discuss federal legislative items. The two dates that have come up are either Friday, November 7th in the morning or, those are Friday, November 7th or Monday, November 10th. It sounds like Jeffrey, Greg, and Patty can do either. Kelly, you had a preference for Friday, and I'm not sure we ever heard back from Francie.
And nothing from Greg?
No, Greg can do either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey can do it. Or I can.
Yeah.
So we'll do it when Kelly can do it.
The 7th, and John is still double checking on the 10th.
Oh, is that new information?
I had put a note in before I came down, but I don't know that it.
Do you want to just say
Yeah.
to me, like,
Yeah, come on up.
So John,
Please join us.
so the 7th is the date you can do, and that's the date John can't do?
No, John mentioned that he had spoken to Cozen just sort of in passing yesterday. He was going to follow up with them, which is, I had hoped to catch him, but he was in another call. So it looks like Cozen likely won't be available on the 7th. I believe he accidentally talked to them about the 11th rather than the 10th, so he was going to circle back with them to see if they can come on the
Veterans
10th.
That's
Right,
that's-
exactly.
That's a federal holiday.
So there was just a miscommunication in that, those dates. And so he was following back up with Cozen to see if they could come out on Monday or if they were going to need to propose new dates. So I think Cozen might still be something we have to circle back to.
'Cause
So I think, sorry, thank you for that, Amy. I think what we should do is, it sounds like John is double checking that the 10th is also available. And so tentatively plan, if it works for all of
she
you.
can't do the 10th.
You can't do the 10th?
I'm not sure that I can.
Oh,
The 7th
okay.
was really.
She
the
said
only
the
day I had
7th was her
Okay.
day.
But let's
Um,
see what we can, I'll bring it up tomorrow in our agenda meeting.
Okay, sounds good. So we will circle back on the COSIN dates. Let's try some other future agendas. So, and then wanted to look at airport visit follow-up. So, this goes back to the retreat. So, Jackson is preferring February 3rd. We could do February 4th or the 6th. And this is Greg and Francie were originally signed up. So we need to circle back there. And then the dates for Bozeman, which Jeffrey and Patty were originally signed up for, would be the last week in January, or February 9th through 13th, or 26th through 30th. So
Yeah, I
we're
have
really
to
looking
look,
at
but-
basically that February timeframe.
Can I make a suggestion? I think we should leave it open because what we agreed to do before was based on the dates. I would like to see it so that more of us, if Kelly has an opportunity that she could go to one of them, that we kind of leave it a little more open then, because Francie and Greg agreed to go to Jackson, but Jeffrey wanted to go and he kind of got, and I just picked whatever was left, but, yeah, I think we should, it's not what you confirmed for before, it's kind of a new game for me anyway, with the dates, and I'll have to look at some conflicts. Plus, that's not always the best time to fly to Jackson Hole in the middle of winter, but they said, we want to see it when things are not going well, and I'm like, that's when I don't want to fly in there, when things aren't going well. So, yeah, so I said I'll just, I just think it's fair for the rest of the board to have an opportunity to go see these terminals. Not just, I know Jeffrey's been to Portland, Francie's been to Portland, but mix it up a bit so that we all have an opportunity to see what other terminals have to offer. But I know Kelly really deserves to go to.
Well, I can't get stuck anywhere. And I'm less and less inclined to fly places
Yeah.
these days, to be honest. So,
So we'll have to bring that back when Francie and Jeff and Greg are here. We don't know when that.
A follow-up, so there's
is
kind
this
of
stuff that can be done like over a doodle, Like folks can just say, I'm willing to go and I'm willing to go on these dates, and then you just have it
We
sort
can
of
do that.
collected. Because I'm just not really clear on like how fixed it is on the hosting airport side and our side, so I just wonder if that's a easier way to
yeah.
start to
Yeah.
narrow.
I-
And then you can come back and just say, well, 4 of you have said you're available on these dates, which 2 of you are going to
Fight it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think what we're trying to manage is the host, right?
Yeah.
The architects and the consultant team, and then your all schedules, so we can put the dates together and then send it out to all of you and come back.
Yeah,
Great
I
suggestion.
don't know. It just, and even put the architects' emails,
Yeah.
like let everybody weigh in on the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we can figure that out.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's a good idea.
Okay. What else you got for future agendas?
That is everything
Kara?
I have for future agendas.
Okay. I'm still holding out for DC if the federal government ever opens up again. All right. Other commissioners, do you have items of concern for future agendas?
I just had questions about ComDev things, not about the agendas themselves, but that I can answer with ComDev.
Future land use applications?
Yeah, like this overlay district
I
in Lower Snowmass.
Kara might be
can
able to-
confirm that, so P&Z, they have scheduled a special P&Z meeting and are planning to keep that on the board agenda for,
Well, it's on our agenda for November 5th,
yes,
but I just don't know what it is.
yeah,
But-
It's house size overlays, right?
I believe so, correct.
So it's just codifying what's already in their master plan?
Mhm.
Okay, then I know what it is.
We had a similar question last week.
Yeah.
We still are wondering if Senator Catlin is gonna come see us.
We haven't heard anything, I don't think.
Oh,
Oh, she's back.
gonna keep phoning Amy.
Hi, sorry. I did
Phone
not intend to
friend.
be on camera this much.
Welcome to Camera Live.
Hi.
Well, you look great.
Oh, jeez. So John hasn't had much success in getting Senator Catlin's office to respond, so he's asked me to continue to reach out to them and try. So we
I'm
have
gonna
not.
text Francie right now, who's probably sitting right next to him, and see if we can.
All right. Well, let us know. But we are still working on it. Is the answer.
You know, can I add to that? You know, I don't think she's ever come to see us. Is Velasquez, Representative Velasquez, who is our rep.
Or maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of interesting. Why hasn't she ever reached out to meet with us? And why haven't we ever reached out to meet with her?
We can?
I know, I was reading the paper when she was standing up there yelling. You could tell she was yelling because of the look on her face at the protest the other day, and I'm thinking, we've never really talked to her.
We are happy to reach out if that is where the board would
And
like
Kelly.
us to.
Are you texting her right now?
Francie, yeah.
Oh, no, I thought you were texting.
No,
Elizabeth.
I have a relationship with Rep. Velasco. I'd be happy. to
Yeah,
have
we
her
should,
come
I think that would
discuss.
be, she wouldn't know me if she saw me at a protest with 3,000 people.
Are you wearing a mask or no mask?
I'm wearing a bandana. One of Jeffrey's bandanas.
Other. Okay, I think that's.
I'm going on vacation.
You keep saying that. But
I know, I'm saying it
Do
again.
you have dates?
do you have dates?
No, God, no. I don't have plans or dates or destination, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Better be easier than the airport dates.
Yeah, because it's just me. And I gotta figure out the dog, that's the,
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this off to Francie. Okay. All right, well, let's see. We have one of our interviewees. Okay, come on up. Let's move on to that, and then we'll do open discussion later. Let's see if the microphone's open.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thanks for
being
having me.
here.
As you all are aware, we have an alternate vacancy available on the Airport Advisory Board. You all had 2 interviews on the 7th of October. We now have Allison Richmond here with us, who's applied. We are, the advertising has closed, so you all are also aware that Jack Cohen has applied, and you all agreed not to interview him since you've interviewed him several times before. So we have Allison today, and that will wrap up our Airport Advisory Board interviews.
Okay, no other candidates waiting to schedule?
No.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte.
Thank
And
you.
thanks, Allison, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we generally will invite you to tell us why you're interested in the board, what you know about the work happening over at the airport and on this board, and then we do kind of a round robin of questions, and we'll have a future discussion when we have our whole board here to select a candidate. We'll keep Charlotte informed, and she will keep you informed.
Very good. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Allison Richmond, and I've lived in the Valley about 20 years, and I now live in Basalt in Holland Hills. I've lived there now since 2018. We were able to purchase a home, but lived up in the Aspen area prior to that, and I've been flying out of the Aspen Airport for a very long time. I have been able to follow the newspaper articles and the information that's been provided by the county on what's happening with the airport and its construction and the growth and the adding or widening the airport and things like that. I'm on the board of Holland Hills. I'm the secretary of the board there, also the Albany Ditch Board. And I like to just be able to represent my constituents in the lower part of the valley and other people that may also talk to me or follow in some way my opinion. Or give me advice or, their ideas of how the growth in the valley, which we all know has been happening, and how we can try to shape it as we go to the best of our abilities. And I'm interested in that. I'd like to have a voice if possible. And I'm pro-community, pro-government in a good way. I think structure is necessary. And rules are, of course, important. And I just believe that if there is an opportunity to lend an opinion to, of course, shape different parts of the valley as it has grown for many years, I would like to be a part of that. Whether my opinion is correct in some people's eyes or not, that's really how I look at it. I'm not at a position to run for any city office or a county office, but continue to, put myself out there because I love this valley and I would like to continue to stay in this valley. I don't see myself ever moving, even though, things keep changing. But the mountains are still here, the skiing is here, the golf is here, the people are here, the bike paths, all of that. And it's just an amazing place to be, no matter what. And the airport's important to us, having one extremely close to our area, not having to go to Rifle or Grand Junction or Vail unless you have to. So it's really important on how it ends up shaping out for everybody in the area. And that's how I look at it. That's my perspective from this side.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And I'll open up to the board for questions. Sure. Jeffrey.
Have you read the Common Ground recommendations?
Only part of it, not enough to reiterate anything to that.
Anything stick out in terms of the recommendations that resonate with you?
I think that there's been a lot of things said, and the airport is a very tricky thing. I know you guys deal with all kinds of small integral parts of that, and I don't really want to call one item out in any way because I think it's a very loaded question. And I really would rather reread it and discuss it in person with a first person knowledge with a highlighted information back than to speak something that may or may not be accurate.
So, and the follow-up is, what are the tensions that you believe we have in the valley today?
What are
the tensions? You sort of like use growth like it's a dirty word.
Well, growth is happening everywhere in the world, and it's not so much that it's a dirty world, it's how we handle it and how we look forward into the future and lay down the groundwork and the infrastructure to be able to handle it. Because it's coming no matter what, whether it's coming from billionaires kicking out millionaires or the people to support any of the people on Red Mountain, so to speak, and this valley. And people want to be here. It's Aspen. It not only has a name because of marketing or movies or people jumping out of the third floor of the jail. It's it's that you can't get away from people coming here. And our job, your job, is to support and to structure it so that it's easily managed for those people, whether that's, the waste they put out to the dump, the water usage, the traffic on the highways. It's all of it, and it all circumvents itself. So it's not a dirty word. It's how you break it down, how you handle it. It's coming. It's here. And we all know that. And there are strong opinions throughout the valley. And you're just not going to stop that.
You get a fine, by the way, for using the D word.
Oh,
The dump, it's $1 fund, goes into a margarita fund.
okay. There it is.
I wonder whatever happened to that fund, because it's growing all the time. I have more of a fun question.
Sure.
So if you, thinking about the terminal as it exists now that you're familiar with, thinking about what we can do with the new terminal, what would be some of the things you would like to see in a new terminal? Just throw it out there.
Sure. I think that is a very good question. I mean, a sauna and a steam room would be great. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to
asked
say,
it in a fun
I want
question.
mauve walls and lavender carpet.
There
We're
you
not
go.
going
There you little shag. I think that being able to provide people with the food and the beverage, of course, is always good. The accessibility to the building, power up the building. And I do notice, as I just landed the other day coming back from Florida, is, some of the things that have already been added, which were amazing. I had two people that are locals as well say, wow, where did that come from? And one of those items was the RAFTA sign that showed the bus timetable.
Been there for months and months.
I know that, but this young lady hadn't.
Good for her
I
noticing
actually
it.
do take the bus, and I don't know that she did. But where'd that sign come from? It was late night. It was quiet. There were really nobody at the airport. And I said,
Woke her up.
it's been there. But, and it's just nice that you had that ability in our age to say, oh my goodness, the bus is 10 minutes instead of standing outside waiting. So it's the little things like that sometimes are forgotten and then put in the end, but if it's remembered in the whole, it makes it a little bit easier.
Thank you.
Of course.
And thank you for applying. That's really important.
You got to do your part.
We appreciate that.
Of course.
If you were to kind of highlight your interests, would it be things like how we're going to finance the airport, or the security pass through and the experience of the customers there? Would it be how we design a terminal to support our employees' workplace needs? Would it be how we design, where the de-icing pads go in relation to the runway, what the FBO is up to? Like what would be kind of your...
Those are all
top
valid
interest?
questions, and I recognize all of them. Financially, of course, that's a number one thing. How do we finance that? Is it, asking taxpayers? Is it setting a bond? Is it, there's many ways to do that. It's already in the works, and I understand that. I do also find that the drop-off situation and how to get people's bags in our environment that we have, with snow and rolling things and parking over here and so on, I think that is advantageous. I did work for Steve Wynn in Las Vegas when he was building, he'd already built the Bellagio and such, he was building La Rev, and the ability, as people maybe don't understand, this massive underground that's there, just like Disneyland, where you don't see any of the people. It's hidden, but it happens. The infrastructure is there, but you don't see it. Even when if you're a celebrity or not a celebrity, there's a way to drive in, get dropped off, and no one even knows that you're there, and then the car can, exit. And there's a flow of traffic that makes it nice and easy for those people, and, taxis and the same. And I'm not saying that is achievable by the square footage of the airport. We have restrictions, but things like that, forward thinking and being creative in items like that, where you could have an easy accessibility per se to drop off your bags and then keep driving. Because right now you pull up and someone's yelling at you to leave before you've even gotten your people out of the car, which I understand, but that's been a big highlight, I believe, specifically at the airport, dropping off and picking up, which is that's okay. But, you know, as you all probably remember, I remember being able to go to the airport with your dog off the leash, park right in the front, walk on in and wait. And
The good old days.
the good old days. And those are over, but there are people that remember and their energy comes out. So that's part of growth and part of changing within our, you know, community and our environment.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you. Other questions for Allison?
No, I'd just like to make a comment to her.
please.
Just so you know, too, for the other two commissioners, Charlotte's really good at sending them the links so they can watch interviews that they missed. She sends them to all of us to review. So you will be watched by the two other members at some, maybe late at night or first thing in the morning. So
Fantastic.
Be prepared.
Yeah, good. All right, great. We'll be in touch. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I
Thank you. It
appreciate
was
that.
really
Thank you for
nice
your
to
time.
meet you.
Yes.
And you're a
thanks for
brave
working
soul
hard.
to be on an HOA board.
I'm sorry?
You're a brave soul.
Oh,
to be on
yes,
an HOA
yes.
board.
I'm sure you're familiar with Holland Hills. It's a very special neighborhood over
They
there.
all are.
Yes, we are familiar with their specialness.
Yes, they are. Thank you very much. And thanks
All
for
right,
working.
great.
Thank you, Ms. Charlotte. We'll see you soon.
Okay, Charlotte.
We have another interview.
Hi, please sit down. Yes, welcome.
So, we've recently had a resignation from the Senior Services Council, and we have one applicant right now, and that is Sandra.
Who resigned?
Meredith Danielson Nelson.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome, Sandra. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to be here.
Okay, great. Well, as I always do my opening spiel in our advisory board interviews, we'll invite you to tell us a bit about yourself and your interest in the Senior Services Board. We'll go around and do kind of a round robin of questions from each commissioner. And then we usually at a future meeting, when we have a full board and everyone's had the opportunity to review this interview, we'll give direction on appointments to Charlotte, and she will stay in touch with you about our decision and all that, if all that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, well, welcome.
Well, I'm Sandy Heron,
Sandy. Okay.
and I have lived here for close to 60 years.
All right.
I have a unique amount of experience as a senior, since in about 2.5 weeks I'm going to turn 87. So I've seen both sides of being a senior. As moving into it, I think I've retired about 4 times. But I currently live at Whitcomb Terrace, which is assisted living. And I have the pleasure of doing that because I don't really need a lot of assistance. But at 87, the doctor agreed I should not be living alone. So I've, like I said, I've been here about somewhere between 55 and 60 years with time off for good behavior. And I have done some things with the senior center. They've asked me to be a inspirational speaker on aging and how to plan your retirement and what the different stages are in the process of that. And that was a great pleasure. I did 2 talks about that. And then I did one on if you'd like to retire overseas. I spent quite a bit of time going back and forth to Europe, so I had the pleasure of sharing that with people as well. I did a PowerPoint presentation. So I feel like I have time on my hands. I certainly have the energy, and I have a unique perspective, having lived through most of these stages. And it's a bit of a shock, honestly, to get older, to get old. I hate to say that word, but it's something you don't really plan for, you know. I mean, at least I didn't. You know, I was enjoying my life here, and I still do, and I still try to do as much as I did before. And I find I don't do it quite as well, and certainly not as fast, but I'm
still
always
do it.
optimistic, and I have my ski pass for this winter.
Okay.
So I still ski, and I live right on the cross-country trails. And I plan on getting in ski condition by going out doing some cross-country as soon as we get snow. And I ride a bike. I was a pilot here, had an airplane I kept at the airport. That was interesting to listen about the previous speaker. And I'm a pilot that flies both airplanes and helicopters.
That's amazing.
For my 80th birthday, I gave myself a helicopter rating. So anyway, I see some needs. I still have needs that aren't necessarily addressed by living in assisted living. For example, I would like to see a buddy system where there are volunteers that would like to spend some time volunteering an hour or two in a day to do something with a senior. It might be skiing, it might be a hike, it might be sitting down and talking, it might be writing a bit about a life story. So when they first came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in senior council, I said, well, in what capacity? And they said, well, you're such a good storyteller. This is not me saying that.
Sure.
That we think it would be good if you did something with the seniors where they tell their stories. So that got the wheels grinding. The next thing I knew, I got out of the car going to a lecture at the community church, and here are all these tents set up for the writers group. I used to belong to the writers group. I had a book in process for a long time here. And so I stopped off at the tent, and I said to them, I have a possible idea that's just getting started, but I'd like to know if your group might be interested, because if we can get a senior to tell their story, would one of your aspiring writers like to hear it and write about it, whether it's a short story or an article or something they could put in the paper, or maybe it's a whole book, who knows? Some of our residents have had quite interesting backgrounds. And so that was one idea. And then another idea was to try and get people to be more involved, seniors more involved. There's kind of an overriding attitude about, well, I'm retired now, so I'm done. With everything? I mean, honestly.
Sounds boring.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean you get to go sit on your bed and watch TV, 12 hours a day. So I would like to bring to the table more interesting things where people want to get involved, and I'd like to hear from them. They've got some great ideas, when we sit at the table. I have 3 meals a day at Wickham Terrace, and there's only 15 residents when we're full, and the occasional visitor. So, you get to know your fellow residents pretty well. And I just feel like there's a lot to help them with, and to hear from them, and to put out there, like you can put it out there, but you can't force anybody to do anything. So it has to be really compelling things. So that's my take on it. I don't want to take my whole
No, I
time
love
and
it.
not leave time for questions. Sorry.
I'm not sure we'll have any. You seem
I-
wonderful,
yeah,
lovely. Yeah,
I
go
just,
ahead, Patty.
first of all, you are not getting old. You're maybe getting older, but you are definitely not getting old.
Thank you.
I think right off the bat. The second one is actually for Charlotte. Do we have any more interviews for this seat, or?
There are no other applicants at this time, but we're going to continue running ads because of the,
So we could
We have
appoint
vacancies.
today.
yeah, you could.
Well, I'm going to say we appoint Sandy to this board because I don't see how they can survive without you.
Yeah.
Or we
Amazing
can
energy.
survive
I'm
without
gonna
you.
come
Are
back with you.
amazing, and yeah, and I want to hear about retirement anywhere overseas here. But I think that it's a great opportunity to share your stories and your life with others. And I think this is a great place for you to help us with our seniors in our community.
Thank you, Patty.
Jeffrey, questions? Comments?
Question for you. So thank you for bringing up the buddy program. Appreciate that. Be interesting to see how we would bring that forward. But I love the idea, so I get it and I hear you. Anything in terms of senior programs today that we need to invest in further, that we're not providing enough of, or something you love that we just need to continue to do more of?
Well, I think the senior center,
Yeah.
the staff there has done a magnificent job of incorporating a lot of the service groups here in town, like the Rotary and Elks and Eagles and so forth, to assist with doing certain things. And that also serves their purpose as well. I happen to be an Elk.
Yeah.
And I got into the Elks because I was on the board of Shining Stars. And I was so impressed with how much the Elks did and how they went about it that I thought, oh, I'd like to join this organization, and promptly did. So, they do a really good job of that. Also, people go for the lunches, but the camaraderie that's shared is fantastic. And it gives us a good opportunity with a gathering of these people to ask them, how do you feel about this? What could you personally use? And make it a real one-on-one interest to find out what the needs are of the various individuals, because some people are pretty sharp. Mm-hmm. I mean, not everybody gets dull as they get older. And when you sit down and talk to them and hear a little bit about their background, they have a lot to share. But I think we need to make more of an effort to do that, to reach out to them.
Thank you. We hope to see you here on Veterans Day, where we have lunch after the ceremony here at the Elks.
Yeah.
So thank you for your service there as well.
Well, I'm also an Elk, so I'll see you at the lodge. You might see my 2 children, which I'm yelling at to not run around and be naughty. But I support what Patty has said, and I would love to nominate you to the Senior Services Council today, if that works for Jeffrey as well.
I'm happy
yeah.
to third.
Okay, great.
And then it comes
So
back
lovely
in
to
formal
meet you.
resolution to actually officially appoint you at another date. But yeah, you would be
Right.
an awesome addition. Thanks, Kelly.
Next regular meeting is November 5th.
Great.
And
Okay.
we could prepare
We'll
a
formalize
resolution
that then.
at the time.
All right. It's so nice. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank
it's
you.
so
I
nice to meet
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. It was so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we are boogieing through this here. Can we do board open discussion? And are you able to talk about the letter that, or should we get Michael Port to come down?
Let me text Michael. I've got a couple other items that we can do.
Okay,
in
great.
discussion. I think we can do.
Okay, because then otherwise we're taking a break till 3:15.
And we are reaching out to SNOMAS to see if there is any ability for them to come early.
Okie doke. We move fast when there's only 3, huh?
The joys of statutory boards.
Not nearly as fun as home rule boards.
I'll wear that for my Halloween T-shirt.
Do you want me
Oh,
to?
that's a winner for sure, Jeffrey.
Hey,
What was it you're going to put on?
statutory versus home rule T-shirt for Halloween did not go over well with Kelly.
You will definitely be a character at my daughter's Halloween character party.
Okay.
I don't think you'll win the contest.
No, no.
I have a whole box of costumes you could borrow if you really need a
It
backup.
has to be his favorite character.
I really hope with young children that does not win the contest. Those
No.
are that's a different kind of Halloween.
Yeah.
The best actually still is Gordon, who came as Animal House. So
Yeah.
it was a cardboard box with a bunch of stuffed animals.
Poking out of all these holes.
It's really good.
My favorite was when he came as Braveheart, and he wore my kilt, and it looked better on him than it has ever looked on me.
We have the blue paint on his.
So he was awesome.
All right, open discussion.
Open discussion. One, you may or may not have seen, Ashley just forwarded, the Aspen Basalt Mobile Home Park is doing a celebration on October 25th, so Saturday, from 12 to 2
That's this Saturday.
this Saturday. If we do have more than 2 board members, I actually think working with Sam, we will have time to post it, so want to know if there's interest.
What time is it? Where is it? Is it at Soapers Park?
No, it's
Oh.
the Aspen Basalt one. It is at,
Oh,
hang tight, Willits, 1900 Willits Lane.
Right off of Willits Lane.
Where,
What is it?
what is that? 1900 Willits Lane?
So it's the one that is,
Is it a park? Is it a splash pad?
is it a sidewalk?
no, I think it's actually at the mobile home park.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
They have a little playground in a park.
They
in the
do,
center
yeah.
of the.
What time is it?
I think it was noon to 3.
It's noon to 3 on Saturday.
I might be able to swing by there when I'm coming back up Valley, so.
Okay. And they've
I'm
asked for.
hosting an event for the new proposed child care district, so I can't.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I would love to celebrate with them.
I'm possible. I mean, if you
Okay.
want
We'll go ahead. They are asking for some RSVPs, and we'll let them know. But we'll go ahead and get it posted, and so you all are able to attend.
thank you.
So it is in your emails. Just ignore the 2 people or not, and I'll confirm with Francie and Greg as well and let them know.
Great.
The other open discussion item is you all received an email, I believe, from the Crystal River Caucus regarding their contribution. We have already made payment for their $600 request, but we wanted to bring that forward for.
Is that their regular amount they're supposed to get?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they wanted us to increase it, but we'd have to increase it for everybody,
Exactly.
which would be part of another discussion. Yeah, am I right on that? Okay.
So I think the question is, I would need to check with Connie. I mean, it's minimal, but I think the question is there interest from the board to explore increasing the contribution across for all caucuses?
Well, we have to see what they're using them for, what the cost, they're saying cost of living, but if they're sending out electronic stuff, I think we need to look at what they're spending the money on and what really has been impacted by cost of living, because it's kind of hitting, as we know, everything in our budget, so I don't mind having the discussion, but I think we need obviously more information and time. But thank you for getting them their money now.
I mean, I'm amenable to give more money to caucuses that meet more frequently than others, right?
Well, except
they're
some of
pretty
the other ones may
consistent.
use all their money trying to get people there, so maybe we just look at what everybody's doing. But I don't necessarily disagree with you on that at all, I just, because I know some of them just don't even know they have one, a caucus.
And I don't have the numbers in front of me of even how many
Yeah,
not
have
even-
anybody's been
not even
interested.
everyone requests their allocation.
Okay.
So we can do a little bit and come back, bring in more information back to all of you. The last item is, and Kelly, we had talked about this a little bit ago, so I apologize for not bringing it up, getting it back on the plate, but the psilocybin center discussion, there is requests of, as you know, Board of Health's, Jordana and Dr. Levins came and gave a presentation. Following that, I think, given the level of questioning from the board, is, I think, needing some clarity if the board would want to pursue moving forward with any land use changes. But before doing that, I think the recommendation is if there is interest from the board, we would bring in, I'm forgetting the other person's name, I apologize, that can come in. The other individual is not interested in a center or anything, so they're impartial.
Neutral.
And could come and give a little bit more about psilocybin and the centers, just because I think on staff we do not have the expertise to have that. So we wanted to bring that back to the board and see if that was even an interest of where you all were at right now.
Can I?
Are we interested?
Well, I'm not sure, but the land use code would be 200-foot setback, right?
If you
No,
took the
i-
board,
if
if you
the
did
Board
the
of
Board of
Health,
Health recommendations,
Which would negate the issue at hand, which has to be a 0 setback.
Right.
I think the issue with psilocybin, people who are maybe not in the industry but are more versed, are kind of versed on the pro side. There's no, we need to hear from both. I'd like to hear from somebody out there who's not been on the positive side of introducing psilocybin therapy. Because I'd like to hear both sides, but also it's so new, and Greg had brought this up, it's just emerging. We don't really know about it. Not to say that after a year and see how it goes at the state level, might be appropriate to come back to us then to say, oh, there's been these problems or there haven't been any problems. But, I don't know if I necessarily want to be the testing ground.
I mean, my inclination is we're bending over backwards for a business that doesn't want to find a new lease somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, aren't there plenty of other rentable office spaces that are not right next to a child care facility? I mean, it's not that they're allowed to do it, right? It's just the question is, will you allow us to do it right next to a child care
The
facility?
0 setback.
So it's just a little bit of like, bending the rules for sort of one situation. All of that makes me a little uncomfortable when I think that there is a workable path for this business that we would not get in the way of. I mean, it's state law, there's state regulations that we would comply with. So I think that that's a bit of I'm just not sure I want to spend a lot of time on it as a board. We have a lot going on, given those considerations. Jeffrey?
I think inviting in an expert would also reinvigorate the conversation, so I'm happy not bringing the expert in, and I would concur with the chair.
Can we just get some clarity maybe from Rye? I also don't want to just make this decision in this forum without any notice and open discussion. So, I want to respect the process and this person's rights for due diligence and all that. So can we just get some clarity around what we need to do to dot our i's?
Absolutely. And just as of right now, because of the way the statute is written, we're just deferring to the state statute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unless the board chooses to take an action, then we are deferring to the state statute, but we'll check with Rye on due process.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Michael Port's letter.
Yes.
I had 2 items if you need
Yeah,
more
go
time.
ahead.
So my 2 items were the board received numerous emails over the past couple months regarding e-bicycles, so digital bicycles. So I've generally responded with texts that I received directly from OST. So it's sticking with the master plan and sticking what's already approved by the OST board. I did reach out separately to the BLM, and I got a wonderful out of office that said, due to the lack of appropriations, I will not even respond to your email, which I loved. I will send it to anyone. You can frame it. It's really cool. And so the doctor who is in our inbox, I expressed to her that I would respond to her email once the government reopens. And clearly the OST paragraphs did not satisfy her. She was looking for something that had to do with modifications that she's seen in Utah, which is why I reached out to
She got
Simplicity.
granted a BLM modification, like
So
a
I-
modification of standards that she was old and disabled, so she could ride an e-bike on trails that only accommodated.
So for the board, I
older
did reach
disabled
out to the
people, not disabled
BLM
people.
for their reply. And then the second one was a conversation going on with an empty homes tax And there I responded that we have an employee housing impact fee and a housing tax, and we're exploring a RET, but we have not made progress with the current administration. And that CAST, as one of its priorities, does have an empty home tax. So
And to further that,
that was my answer.
right,
Sorry,
right, but to further that conversation, the empty home tax is available like an excise tax to municipalities, not to counties. So it's not a simple matter of putting it on a ballot. It's a matter of changing state law to allow counties to put to their voters a empty home tax or a quote unquote an excise tax of sorts. So it's a bigger discussion than that. So, and I've talked briefly about Scott Willie who brought that too.
And there is some interest that Boulder County is leading about getting excise tax authority for counties.
For counties, that's been ongoing for almost as long as a rep, but maybe not quite.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kelly.
Okay, Michael, thanks for joining us very early.
Yeah,
Glad
I was
to see
surprised.
you here.
Thank you.
I know. We're just
We did it
cruising
just to
along.
fool you.
And Ryan, sorry if you have open discussion. You know you're welcome to join us up here.
You can sit up here.
I didn't, it was just in case something came up that.
Well, it might.
All right. Michael, what are you asking for here?
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Michael Port, Climate Action Analyst. Hopefully you have a letter of support with you that is for a regional application to the Colorado Energy Office's Local Impact Accelerator program. This is a large pot of funds that is supporting both policy development but also project dollars for different sort of state priorities around reducing carbon emissions. The application that we were requested to participate in is this regional application between 3 different counties, Garfield, or communities within our 3 counties. We have Aspen, Avon, Basalt, Eagle County, Minturn, Snowmass Village, Town of Eagle, and Vale, as well as us applying for funding to do policy development, workforce development around our net zero building codes. All of our communities have a 2030 net zero target, and so this sort of cohort would work together on aligning our different code efforts for ease of implementation for our local workforce. And then, so that's the policy development side. And then on the project dollar side, we are also requesting like incentive funds. And what we would do with those funds is essentially like inject further dollars into local rebates and incentives that we're already providing. We could have some flexibility with those dollars to come up with a new program if we wanted to as well. But basically we're doing this policy development and then also hoping to further electrification and energy efficiency. So it's a really great program. I think this is our best chance to apply as a region because we are competing with Front Range communities. The size of this grant, we're being told, is like going to be really competitive in this program, so we have a good chance as well. So we've been working with these other communities. CORE and our nonprofit partners are supporting the application as well. So it's a really great opportunity for us. And the one other thing here is, we would be matching $4,500. So we're splitting the grant match between all the different communities. It's a relatively or very low grant match requirement. So we'd be matching or putting down a pretty small amount of money and getting a very large benefit from it. So I think it makes sense from a financial standpoint as well. We are able to have Kara sign it, or a county manager. That's why you see her name on here, but it would be even better if the board was able to sign it. If we do win the award, then the board, we do have to formally accept that award. So any questions or comments on this?
I don't have a letter in front of me, but.
They were on our desks, and I already read it. But yeah, I don't
Go
necessarily.
to my desk.
Sorry.
today. My apologies.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I have some concerns or questions or comments. First of all, are we sure this fund is still going to exist in the 2026 budget with the state?
The Energy Office claims that this money is safe and will go out. I don't know the
We've
the
heard that about a
technical
lot of things these
technicalities
days.
of it.
Yeah.
I will share that what I heard last week actually from DOLA is that some of this, especially on kind of the impact plays, it is federal funding, but it has not been cut and actually has been secured and is still sticking around. So
Okay. Well, because this area of environment and climate and electrification is an automatic target for federal cuts. So just keep that in mind. I find it interesting, and I started to talk to you about it earlier, Michael, about an article I read about the 2030 mountain conference over in Breckenridge. That Breckenridge and Park City were the only jurisdictions who have a 2030 net zero plan. And I went, I don't think that's correct. So again, you just said you have all these other jurisdictions that have a 2030 net zero plan. So how did that miss the 2030 mountain conference? That there's majority, especially in the region of where the conference was held, that have a plan. I feel kind of like, who missed the boat on that one? That's a comment I have to make. And it was like when I went to the first 2030 conference, or maybe it was the second one, was in Breckenridge. It was like, where have all these jurisdictions been? You know, and now I'm wondering, yeah, how come just Breckenridge and Park City are the only ones? But that being said, I'm also concerned about unintended consequences of drawing more attention to our efforts that we have been pursuing for many years as far as climate and electrification and energy efficiency and carbon footprint, et cetera. And the possibility of unintended consequence of coming back and having other grants for Picken County or for our region cut by the federal government. So I think it's an area where we need to be careful with. But if the money's there, and I don't know, it's just worrisome to me that we need all the help we can get in keeping some of the grants and some of the money we have moving forward. I don't want to be doing anything that's going to cause undue negative attention.
Questions, comments?
Just an overall comment. I mean, I think between SAF.
Is your mic on? Sorry, thanks.
I think between SAF and energy, it's good to see the regional players come to the table. So I think it's nice to see Aspen in with this mix, and it seems to be one of the areas that makes the most sense, both funding and granting regionally. So I just, go forward with the cap. Let's do it.
And I'm sorry, Michael, who did you say the other cohort communities are?
So Aspen,
Avon, Minturn, Eagle. Sorry, Michael.
Sorry, my screen. So Aspen is the lead applicant on it. We also have Avon, Basalt, Eagle County, Minturn, Snowmass Village, Town of Eagle, and Vale.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to sign it. or have
Breckenridge
Tara
isn't
sign
in
it.
there.
No Breckenridge.
Welcome the chair to sign it.
Okay, I don't want them to email me though. I would not be the best contact. So, yeah,
Can I
you
supply a version for you to sign?
can you put it through DocuSign and I'll sign it that way, or would you like me to sign it physically?
We can do DocuSign.
Great. Okay.
I'm good with it. I just still my stomach just doesn't set comfortably with the eyes upon us. And I don't mean eyes as in yeses, I mean the eyes as in no's.
Okay. Is there other open discussion?
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you here.
Nice to see you as well.
All right. Well, I think we've covered all of our other business. And we are waiting for representatives from Snowmass Village since we are running very early. So we will.
Are they
take-
coming earlier?
And they are en route, and told them are roughly around 2:45, so we can hopefully be a little bit earlier than 3:15.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, we will take a break until then. Thanks for everyone's patience.
Perfect, thanks.
All right, welcome back everyone to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners work session on Tuesday, October 21st. We have the great pleasure of welcoming our colleagues. My mic's on. Okay.
You want me to record the great pleasure of what? Please make sure that's recorded.
I'll say it again. We have the great pleasure of welcoming our colleagues from the town of Snowmass Village to discuss the Little Red Schoolhouse. And I will maybe turn it over to Ashley Pearl, our Housing Resiliency Manager, just to
Yeah. Thanks for
give us
coming
any
in.
info.
Thanks for
And
having
thanks
us.
for speeding up your timetable today.
Plenty of
We
time,
appreciate it. I'm Ashley Pearl, Housing and Resiliency Director for Pickens County. I will just turn it over to these folks and let them have the bulk of the time, but I wanted to give the board just a quick kind of recap of childcare. So I believe what staff and the mayor are going to present is an update on Little Red Schoolhouse and the redevelopment there, and then a funding request for Pickens County to potentially financially support the project more than we already have. But just kind of as a recap, prior to 2021, Pickens County funding involvement in childcare was mostly through a program called CCAP, which is run through the Human Services Department, and it's through with pass-through dollars through the state of Colorado. Aside from that, we didn't have any formal childcare programs. Of course, we supported it, but didn't have the financial means to really be involved in that landscape. So in 2021-22, when we started to get pass-through funds from the feds in the form of ARPA funds, our profile really changed, and the county was able to, I was just calculating it, put over $2.5 million over the last 3 years towards childcare in a variety of ways. So I hope you saw in your memo, but that's through the staff stipend program, the maintenance and equipment grants, the Stotts Mill contribution, and a $208,000 contribution to the Little Red Schoolhouse project. That was last year. Unfortunately, ARPA funds can no longer be changed. Those had to be locked in at the end of 2024 as the encumbrances and how we were going to spend them. We have until the end of 2026 to spend them, however. So although there is still money and we're spending it on 2 programs that are still going, we can't alter how that's being spent. So just so the board knows. But we're going to spend it all. And we spent over half on childcare, which was the board's original direction. So I think it was great. We were able to impact the landscape, as much as you can with one-time temporary dollars. And I'm really thankful to our colleagues over at the City of Aspen. They're going to step in 2027 and continue the staff stipend program. They call it a wage enhancement program, but it'll be very similar to what the teachers in Pickens County are experiencing right now, except the city will support it financially. So ideally, there's not much of a cliff effect. I mean, the maintenance and equipment grants were one time, Stotts Mill influx was one time, and unfortunately, Little Red didn't quite fit in under the timeline. So we were able to do $208,000 of ARPA funding towards that. If today the board would like to consider a contribution, the kind of pot of funding staff has identified is you do have $200,000 remaining in discretionary spending that's hasn't been assigned yet this year. And aside from that, it would be, taking away from other general fund items. But just to be clear, ARPA is not available anymore, unfortunately. And we knew this would happen, that, we'd reach a cliff effect at some point. And we've been trying to mitigate the cliff effect where we can, but we knew that requests would come in after the fact, which is unfortunate. But so I think that's all the history for me. I'll stay here if you have other questions, but I think it's
I do want to ask a quick question based on what you just shared. That's amazing for Kids First, and we should send them a thank you letter. Are they considering this an ongoing
as far as I
enhancement
know,
program?
yeah.
Okay.
The staff from Kids First kind of said for the foreseeable future, they can dedicate Kids First funding towards a permanent wage enhancement program.
Well, I love that, and that means our seed funding wasn't one time.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to our lovely folks from Snowmass. Always great to see you guys.
It's great to see you too. And we just really thank you for having us here today. we feel from Snowmass Village that we are so fortunate to have you guys as partners, and Little Red Schoolhouse is just yet another opportunity for us to partner with you and collaborate. And we thank you for your consideration today and for the commitment you already made of $208,000 in ARPA funds. And obviously, we're here because we need additional funding, and we know that there's $200,000 in your discretionary budget, and we're hoping that you would consider applying that to the project. We believe that allocating this funding to the Little Red Schoolhouse project is going to bring it on par with what you allocated to Stotts Mill. We believe it's a reasonable and equitable request given, what you were able to there, and we feel like it really does strengthen our partnership with you guys in many ways. So the request does, in my opinion, does two great things. One is that it's increasing capacity. The other is that it is updating an aging facility. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the Little Red Schoolhouse. I mean, it is lovely and quaint, but it's in need of some love. And we feel like the residents of Snowmass, employees, people within Picken County and the greater Roaring Fork Valley really do deserve a modern, updated facility. And that is what this is going to bring. So I think, before we embarked on the whole project, we had done a needs assessment. And there, I know are some openings in other preschools within Picken County, but we did talk with Christina just to kind of get an update on where we stood in terms of enrollment. And I just wanted to kind of update you guys. I mean, currently there are 35 children enrolled, 29 families, so because there's some siblings. And the minimum is that you have to go three of the days of the 5 days of the week. It is a joint wait list with Woody Creek Kids, but she is able to divide that out. And sometimes she'll get them into Woody Creek Kids, and then they have first priority if they want to get back into Snowmass. So the total number of children on the wait list for her program between those two is 72. And the total number of children who only want Little Red is 27. And of those, of the people on the wait list, there are 28 children who live in Snowmass Village, and there are a total of 24 who have parents working in Snowmass Village. So we believe that if we increase the capacity, which is basically doubling it, we could account for the kids that we already have enrolled, plus we could, satisfy this wait list and still have some spots available. So, I think there's always employees within Snowmass Village that would prefer to stay in Snowmass, but it hasn't always been the option. I don't know if you guys want to add anything. We're grateful that you're willing to consider this again. And obviously the letter asked for $500,000, but we're willing, to work with it. And if the $200,000 is what you have in the budget that's discretionary that you could give to this project and you want to give to this project, then, we would gladly accept it. So
Please and thank you.
yes.
Could you just, run through those numbers again? How many
Yeah.
Sorry, I was taking other notes. And
No,
I'll
it's
take
okay.
these
So
notes.
there's 70 between Woody Creek Kids and Snowmass Village, Little Red. There's 72 kids on the wait list. Okay. The total number of children who only want Little Red of those 72 are 27. The total number of children who live in Snowmass on the wait list are 28. And the total number of children who have parents who work in Snowmass is 24.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And there's 35 currently that are in attendance there, and there's 29 families. And, the wait list is children that haven't even been born yet, all the way up to pre-K, age 4.
I know, it's real.
It's real. So look, like I live in Snowmass. I've lived in Snowmass since my kids were little, and I did the commute every single day to the Yellow Brick, and traffic has gotten substantially worse, and if we're trying to keep cars off the road, this is an excellent way to do that. So
I had to drive down to Basalt and then drive back up to Aspen.
yeah,
That was the only
it's
place
great,
I
isn't it?
How many, and I'm sorry, the total capacity that the proposal builds?
60.
60.
Okay.
ish, right?
It says
65.
65.
It depends on age of kids.
Yeah.
It depends on the page? Or
Age
The
of
age,
kids.
yeah, because of the licensing regulations.
Right, I know
And-
little ones take up more space.
Yes. So,
Okay.
and the rooms within the schools are designed to be flexible so that if there's more age 4 kids, they can have more space for that versus like the younger kids. And we intentionally designed it that way. And we're also, I mean, that's for the new building. The current Little Red building, it's not historic, but we call it the historic schoolhouse. We're hoping that we can then use that as an auxiliary space for the kids that go to the preschool, but also have programming there on days that maybe the preschool's closed or, throughout the summer. It could be used as a great space for kids to come and do projects or, whatever community needs it for. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I have more questions, but I'll see if folks have questions.
I don't have questions. Oh, I do have a question, but it's about STOTS. So what did we get for the investment with ARPA funds at STOTS?
So, let me make sure I get my numbers right. So the Stotts Mill Childcare is a new.
The Stotts Mill Childcare was a new construction up in Stotts Mill. It was a partnership with the town of Basalt, and we received it. The town of Basalt received an $800,000 grant from the State Department of Early Childhood. The grant required that the employers built the place and then used it to provide service to their employees' children. So.
What did Pickens County get out of the money?
So
they put in?
Pickens County contributed $350,000 of ARPA funds plus an additional $100,000 of general fund. And then for that total amount, we received 11 priority spots for children of our employees for a period of 10 years.
So we're not getting any opportunity to do the same with the Little Red Schoolhouse for monies we would consider putting in?
Who are we?
What's that?
The community certainly is.
No, Pickens County. If it's coming out of Pickens County general fund money, we're not getting any 10 spots or any priority for people who work for Pickens County or our county employees or.
Yeah, all county residents are going to be treated the same on that wait list.
So we're not getting any priority for the monies we're putting in like we did at Stotts.
Nobody is, correct.
And another, just a comment.
But actually, let me take that back. We do prioritize. She does prioritize residents of people that are closer in. So there's a priority for people that are closer
In Snowmass Village.
In Snowmass, yeah.
Okay. And for STOTS, for our discretionary fund, I know you guys are well aware of this. We're getting pulled in every direction. Right now, for me, we have 200,000 discretionary funds that we look at the end of the year, which we're not quite there yet. And then we look at where our needs are coming in. And right now, we're still looking at needs for programs like SNAP and WIC, Planned Parenthood, Women's Health Care, those things that are being either underfunded or no funding coming from the federal government, and how we might try and stopgap that. And my thinking prior to hearing that you are looking at our discretionary fund was that is a good pot of money for the board to consider using for those other issues. And our general fund, because of all the projects we have going on, is getting threatened by our own needs here. So it's a really tough one because I understand I lived in Snowmass for a while and had to make that in and out commute, especially if you got called in the middle of the day and had to pick up a sick kid. It's never easy. And when we talk about the general childcare situation valley-wide, it's more about trying to fund teachers, retaining staff, so we can fill the spaces we have now available, but we can't fill them because we don't have staff. And we don't pay staff to stay after training, et cetera. So there's a lot of concerns about childcare and priorities, and a lot of concerns on my part about Pickens County's budget and funding, and how we have public health and we have community health services. We have Mountain Family Health that's going to be hit. So we're just getting stretched really thin, and there's so many unknowns right now for us.
We understand completely. We have the same requests. when we, from the county, vital mental health services we contribute to, homeless shelter, we get the same requests, and that's why we're thinking this, we're all trying to be in this together, and if we can all be in a little bit, that's what we're asking for, this partnership. I would say this is not a project for us about, can it happen? This building is aged out. It has to happen. We're going to make it happen, and we're just asking for that partnership in it. So,
And I understand that, but we're getting pulled at an even broader spectrum because we're the county, not a municipality.
no, agreed.
So we're getting hit by, I mean, public health is run by and funded by Pickens County. And so we're looking at all of those things. And the other thing is, we're having to look at areas within our budget projects that we have a little more discretion with using and spending, and cutting those projects back or not doing them at all for the next year or next 2 years because of the trickle down from the feds that we don't really even know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and this could be that, we could consider that, but we've prioritized it because this is discretionary. This is not a traditional municipal investment, but this is something the council has said this needs to happen, and we're going to find a way to make it happen. And I guess, and this is going to sound ridiculous, we understand where you're at. We certainly do.
I know you do, but this is a tough one because how do we not support childcare, but at the same time, how do we not support food on people's tables? So it's a tough one.
Thanks, Patty. Jeffrey?
So 2 parts. One, I know you had a big dependence on DOLA at one point. Wasn't a large ask to DOLA.
We made
Did
a
DOLA
large
say
ask.
come back next year? Where did you leave it with DOLA as part one of my question? And then two is, yeah.
I'll address that first. We were not awarded those dollars.
Yeah.
And I think that continuing the theme of what Patty was saying, the state's being stretched thin as well. And so that pot of money that the grant would come from will be thinner, more skint in years to come. And so I would be a little hesitant to rely on those dollars if we were especially not successful in this round to have a smaller pot to compete for a similar project.
Thank you. And then the follow-up for Ashley and Cara is we had at one point allocated $360,000 for the Thomasville lime kilns. It did come out of the general fund in 2025, call that an earmark. It will not be in the 2026 budget, but it was pulled out in 2025. Rather than exhausting the board's discretionary in 2025, couldn't we use part of the money that was earmarked for the Thomasville lime kilns, waiting for state historic designation in 2025 for the Little Red? Breaking down silos.
Yes. So I anticipated this. So we've already taken the lime kilns into.
Only if it's good news. Only if it's good news.
So any funding would need to come out of the general fund balance, and the lime kilns is already accounted for within the general fund balance. So that is not an option on the table. It's not a different fund. It's coming from the same pool of money. Okay. While you're trying to find other areas, it's the same pot.
So is that your way of saying you would hit discretionary before general?
We would recommend looking at your discretionary budget, and I would just clarify that there is a lot of pressures to the board. This has been the only ask to date that we're aware of as a direct ask to the board, and I know you all are getting pressures in a lot of areas, but this is the first direct ask that the board has heard.
I have a lot of questions. I want to come back to some of this discussion about potential pots of money, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about where the project is at, and kind of what your funding stacks are, and where we thank you for including design photos in the memo. But it would just be nice to know sort of a general update of where you guys are at in the whole process of doing this.
Sure. Do you want
You want to talk about capital, and I'll talk about construction?
We'll start. We didn't game plan well.
Oh, that's okay. We got time, so we can wing it.
The dollars are because the council said this is a priority project. Let me back up. It's a fully entitled project all the way through planning. We have construction documents already done, and so we are ready to move dirt. And so we are working with the provider now, the actual service provider now on timing. I'll just jump to that. We expect to start construction in May, June of 2026. What we're going to end up doing is installing mobile homes in the backside of the rodeo. So we move the kids there, 14 months of construction, and then move the kids back. So that's the construction. As far as the capital stack goes, it's pretty simple. We've saved, it's all cash. And so there's no borrowing for this project. There's one donation we've got strong indication will come through, but I'd say 99% of the dollars are general fund dollars that we've earmarked towards this project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then I have a couple questions about funding info. What is the proposed discretionary fund in 2026?
So that is, I'm forgetting the creative name that.
What's our emergency backup?
Yeah, so
gap fill
basically,
fund,
yeah.
which has not been approved yet.
Absolutely. So what is proposed in
We approved it for this year, so I'm just wondering what.
Yeah, so for
carried over.
2026, for 2025, we have the $200,000 discretionary fund. For 2026, what is proposed is the 1.5 million.
But it's over 3 years.
Over 3 years. We do not have the regular $200,000 discretionary fund line item moving forward. It basically is all pooled together in that $1.5 million pool for 2026.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
But technically, it's only 500 for 26, 500 for 27, 500 for 28.
Okay. Okay, so we've had other conversations relative to this new funders group for community requests. And I'm just wondering how this fits into that portfolio. So, and I don't know how much you guys, I'm not even clear on totally what it's doing or how it's functioning, but because we were getting all these multiple requests from the community, it was like, is there a way to bring in partners, start talking about this all collectively and figure out if there's a more global collective way to make smart decisions together about how more than one organization is contributing. And I guess
We've requested to be a part of that group because we get the same requests you do, and you all have the expertise to evaluate those requests way more than we do. And so every time we receive the request, we follow your lead. And we don't have the staff to put towards it. We trust your evaluation, and we don't follow with the same number of zeros, but we do follow your lead.
Sure, thanks, Clint.
So this is
I guess I'm just not totally clear on if this is an appropriate request to also bring forward through that group, whether it's, separate from an individual request here or instead.
What I can say is the regional funders group is really got together primarily focused on health and human service related. So how Pitkin County is showing up is really whatever is related to the Healthy Community Fund plus capital. So it's a little nuanced, but Healthy Community Fund has not been funding childcare. Now, I guess if that was a direction we could look at that group, but what I would say is that regional funders group is really focused right now on those health and human services nonprofit needs, and they're still trying to find their process for setting up, and I'm not quite sure that taking this through that process right now is the right fit at the moment.
Point of
Well, hang on, I want to follow up because it does seem, SKICO, ACF, the county all have some childcare nexus in our programming. So I wouldn't immediately say this isn't relevant for that group to consider. Patty.
Well, yeah, and it's capital, because the Healthy Community Fund does not fund capital. So this is a capital request, so therefore I think it furthers Kelly's nexus point. Because we have found that first person on the door gets all the money, nobody else gets any. And we didn't think that was a fair process either. Because when somebody hears, oh, you got X amount of hundreds of thousands, well, we deserve X amount of hundreds, and we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep. Or we won't have food on people's tables. And we won't have healthcare opportunities at Mountain Family Health and on those Planned Parenthood and those other things that's generally where we focus a lot of our discretionary fund at the end of the year, by history. And so, if anything, I think we should take this into consideration. I think there's more discussion maybe to be had today, but with a full board and with a little more time. I know time may not be of the essence for you guys, but it would be for us to see what other uses we might be really pushed for prioritizing our discretionary. $200,000 doesn't go very far these days. But, yeah. And, you know, and it's not for us to micromanage your budget decisions, but from what we read in the paper, there's been some made that I was hoping maybe that money could go towards your Little Red Schoolhouse rather than for
like what?
repainting the grandstands at the rodeo lot.
It's, well,
Silos.
the grandstands at the rodeo lot. That's a whole, I mean,
Yeah,
look,
but that's what I read in the paper, and that's what people are gonna say, wait a minute, you're gonna use the money for this when you can use the money to provide childcare to complete the project. Perception is
Well,
what you read
I
in the
mean-
Daily News or the Aspen Times front page.
We all know better than that, hopefully, so.
Yeah.
Do we have other discretionary fund requests to be considered as far as we know between now and the end of the year? We don't generally leave money in the pot.
Right. There has been nothing formalized coming to the board at this point in time that we're.
Kelly, I think of, well, a lot of times we hear, once the Healthy Community Fund grants have been negotiated and awarded or approved, that's when people say, hey, you cut me out of X amount of dollars, or you cut me out of all dollars. Then they come in. That's why we generally wait right till the end of the year, or if not, right into the first of the next year with our list. We each bring a list to the table.
And maybe some context, going back, Kelly, to your question for last year, I believe it was in 2023, right? The discretionary fund used to be really small.
10,000.
And it was just within the past couple of years because the capital request, because we don't have a place within the Healthy Community Fund or elsewhere to be looking at those capital requests. And so that is where we started budgeting the $200,000 in the board capital fund on those, trying to find what is the pool where you can't direct it in other areas.
And we also found we had more requests just for operating expenses because Healthy Community Fund was getting limited by how many people were coming in to the, asking for a piece of the pie, and the pie is only so big. So we increased the discretionary fund also to cover some of that, not specific to capital, but to just overflow.
Jeffrey?
And just because I need one more no in my afternoon, I'm assuming housing's off the table in terms of tapping the housing fund.
No.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm
I'll
good.
say that.
It's good to
You
see
asked me
everyone.
that question for the last 2 weeks, and I've said no,
Oh,
Jeffrey.
man.
But he'll
It's a
listen
house.
to you.
It's a
You have
schoolhouse.
privilege over me.
It has house in the.
It has the first house in it, that's good. Creative.
And we're not gonna put the child care in the coke ovens up the frying pan. Jeffrey?
It's historic.
Well, I appreciate the additional information about, you know, it looks like you can fully fill all the slots with local families.
yeah, and that's only taking into account what the information that Christina is providing us with in terms of her wait list. I mean, you know, if we went out today and surveyed Snowmass again, this number would,
Who
I'm
knows
sure,
where
be
it would go.
greater. But this is just based off of her wait list at this moment. And as we know, it's constantly changing. And can I just quickly address what you said about the grandstands? Like, I hear what you're saying when you read the paper and you see that, but our job as the town council is to go and work on projects that are important to the community. And I know it might seem ridiculous, but it is important for the community to have an entryway that feels like it's Snowmass and doesn't look like a glaring mess of bleachers. And so that is why we put money into the budget to sort of rectify and help beautify that, because it is really important, just like childcare is important and all the other things we offer. And, you know, just like you all, you know, can definitely read about what we're doing, we also read about what you're doing, and it doesn't feel great when we see $100,000 to the Carbondale pool, which is not even in our county.
You talk to Francie about that.
And so,
You can
know,
talk to me
but-
about that. I'm happy to justify.
so I'm just saying, like, for us, like, you know, I don't want to be judgy about each other's spending, and it is what it is, and we all make the decisions we make in the best interest of the community. And for us, getting the Little Red Schoolhouse project done has been a high priority, and we are finally there. And all we're asking is that we further the partnership we already have on so many different fronts with you all. So.
And I appreciate those comments, been clarification, but, you know, we have to make tough decisions over, our community wants a lot.
Yeah.
And we have to prioritize.
We're part
So
of
is, yeah, is the
Yes.
childcare the biggest priority, so maybe the funding for the interns can wait a year? It's your decision, it's not ours to
Yeah,
make. But we have to look at using our monies outside when Pickens County, at least at Stott's, got 11 spaces for, and I know you can say
We
they're
can
all
do-
members of the community, they all work in the community at some level.
If that's something that the county would like, we are happy to go to our provider and say, we need to provide 11 spaces to the to county employees.
Well,
If that's,
so
if that's a
that
string
could be
attached.
part of the further discussion, because it's hard for us, but again, I don't know where our discretionary funds may need to go by the end of the year. And for me, right now, my priority is making sure that people have food on their table, because we are at risk of people in Pickens County not having food on their table. And that is, I can't even, I think you can all agree, that is something we cannot allow to happen in
I
our
would like to
community.
make a couple proposals, but
Yeah.
No, I was in the same.
The couple proposals that I would make are to revisit this conversation after we've finalized our Healthy Community Fund grant requests in 2 weeks. And so we have a better understanding of some of that broader need that Patty has raised concerns that might pressure our discretionary fund. I might also propose some consideration and furthering of the conversation if there's a number of spots that might be prioritized for Pickens County staff. I would consider that, pose that request, have your conversation and bring back findings to us about whether that's doable or not. Again, from our point of view, that would be a little more equitable with the Stotts Mill dedication of funds, and that's part of what the balance that we're trying to achieve here. And then I might suggest that we just hold back a bit of the discretionary fund, $20,000, similarly to what we used to hold back, and then can revisit our normal, ordinary end of
See what the
year
asks are.
requests are for things like, Planned Parenthood comes before us again and says we are real strapped, or something like that. That was what our typical process was with the discretionary fund, and maybe we just sort of align it with a small pot to get. And if we get to the end of the year and we don't have additional requests, then we can tag
Talk about
it
it again.
The little red would be some of my proposals on how to further this conversation. I do think Greg and Francie would like to be part of this conversation. I'm sorry they're not here today. We could make a decision without them. We have that fully, but I'm not sure that would be the best thing to do today.
We understand.
Okay. Jeffrey, did you have additional?
I'm good, you covered it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it would be nice to get close to parity with Stotts Mill. Would be
Yeah.
hopefully a board.
Can I ask for a point of clarification?
Yeah.
The pool, the $100,000 came out of our parks fund, didn't it? So it was a
We
dedicated.
would not
fund.
have been able to give you that money anyway.
It was
That's okay.
Just so you know, it wasn't a general fund, it wasn't a discretion fund, it was money to be used for Parks and Rec. That we no longer have anymore because we used it all up in Redstone. In
I
Pickens County.
understand.
Kelly,
But the paper reports it how it reports it, so we don't always know all the
Really? Oh,
details.
no.
We can strike a deal. If the grandstands are on your mind, perhaps we make the rodeo grounds the Pickens County Fairgrounds. We're happy to partner
Oh,
with
I
you on
love
that.
the fair, I'll bring the fair back.
Only if you paint the blue.
I tried
shirts.
once.
We have a rodeo. You guys need a fairgrounds. We're in need of some money. Naming rights are yours for a low price of $200,000. It is the Pickens County
Only
Fairgrounds.
if you don't let a
Steve
bull
Child
out.
would totally
I'm just
be
throwing
on
this on
board
your
with
list of
that.
things to consider and help think about.
Yeah, but no bulls running loose.
That
was kind of
that's like there's
exciting.
millions of hits you want
Who's
the
the
bull
one who
friend
came up
is.
with the great quotes? That's what I
Oh,
thought.
that's great.
I
No
texted that
bull.
to my family. Things you don't see in New Jersey.
I was left unsupervised.
Those were great.
Thank
Well,
you.
and I will say one of my greatest pleasures was going to read to all the kids at the Little Red Schoolhouse the Sauce Boss book and bringing them copies of the book. And
Read
it
to me?
is reading it
Read
to them.
with me, read. What's the program we go to the Yellow Brick?
Read with me.
Is it Read with me?
No, I just went on my own. Like,
Oh no, we go to the formal one and we get a copy of the book to take home.
Yeah. It was
So-
fun.
I think there is some amenable interest, and we just kind of have to sort out.
Sure.
And we can look and we can discuss further with the provider about spots. And I mean, it also might be good to know how many Pickens County employees already have their kids at Little Red. I don't know. I don't know.
That would
off
be
the
good.
top of my
And
head.
you usually do a survey of interest, right? So I might look to you. To
I'd be happy to connect with staff and kind of figure out what that might look like based on we did a percentage of the total cost of the project, and that's how we calculated it, so we can play with some numbers. Can I ask for clarification? Are you asking for folks to come back after Healthy Community Fund to a work session?
I don't
and do
think
this
they
again?
need to come back.
Okay.
I think we need to revisit the decision.
Okay.
You know, maybe we'll give you a heads up and schedule that as like a scheduled
You
open
wanna show up
discussion
and join
item,
us.
and that way you can join online.
You do the same, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
And do we get to pick out the color for the grandstand?
You
You can come on over and check it out.
Hot
We were
pink.
looking at
Barn
colors
red.
yesterday.
For $200,000, you were, yours.
Clint, I love
Partial
those.
degree
I actually
myself.
really love those.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Okay.
Yes,
Is
thank
there? Do you have more questions for
No, we're
us
just,
to consider?
thank you for
Okay.
taking the time to talk
Yeah.
with us and consider this again. We really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
So are you going to Northwest Cog in person, or are you Zooming?
I'm Zooming
So am I.
because we have
have a
a
meeting here.
TC. It's too hard. Too much in one day.
Are you going to bring cookies?
Do you want?
Yes.
Will that get me the $200,000 I need?
You could probably auction that
$200,000
recipe for
Did you see her
$200,000.
eyes light up? Do you want me to
Actually, maybe.
Okay.
No, sure.
They're
Lots
really
of
the
demands
best
on
chocolate
cookie
chip
dough, I
cookies.
know, and
I-
where it's like,
I
where you
I
can invest
probably
your
could
cookie
bring
dough is a
some
big
cookies.
decision.
Okay.
And did you get a request to write for the newsletter for the November COG newsletter? I don't have time to come up with some.
Yeah, I know. I'll think about it.
Let's have elevators do it.
Thank you.
As a beneficiary of the cookies, what you really need to request is the cookie dough. I'm just
Are there eggs in it?
Well, I will.
take the
work on
risk.
it.
It's worth it. Take the risk.
She'll wear gloves.
All right.
Thank you all.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
You know, Ingrid wanted to do some open discussion. Did she talk to
I
you
told her to come at noon tomorrow, and that way she would have like the full,
Thanks,
at
Glenn.
noon?
yeah, public comment.
Thank you, Mayor.
But not to do the Dominion debacle and
Good to see
all
you.
that.
Okay, thank
See you
you.
Thursday.
Yeah, sounds good. Why? You
She
think
was
that's
gonna go into
relevant?
some other stuff that's a little more political, I think. About Dominion being sold and bought and.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay.
People are paying attention to it, so it's
You're
helpful
just trying to stall the meeting so Francie will be here. and we don't have to get-
Maybe, no.
I'm,
All right. We're done early. Thanks, everybody, and we will reconvene at noon tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks for us.